You've been told your whole life that willpower is the answer. Work harder, push through, have more discipline. But what if the problem isn't that you don't have enough willpower? What if the problem is that willpower doesn't work the way you've been taught? Right now, your brain is probably resisting this. You've spent years building an identity around discipline. You've felt pride in your self-control. And the idea that willpower might be a myth feels like losing a weapon you depend on. But stick with this because what replaces willpower is infinitely more powerful. Here's the trap everyone falls into. You see someone succeed, an athlete, an entrepreneur, someone who transformed their body, and you assume they won the willpower lottery. They wanted it more. They tried harder. They had more self-discipline than you. So you decide, if they can do it through sheer force of will, so can I. You clench your teeth. You make a promise to yourself. You're going to use willpower to change everything. For 3 days it works, maybe a week. Then something happens. You're tired, stressed, hungry, and suddenly your willpower vanishes. You break the promise, you feel like a failure, you blame yourself for not having enough discipline. You think you're weak. But that's where the misunderstanding begins. In the 1990s, a psychologist named Roy Baumeister ran an experiment that changed everything. He brought people into a lab and told half of them they could eat fresh-baked cookies while the other half had to eat radishes. The catch? He told everyone that later they'd have to do a mentally challenging task that required serious willpower. Here's what he found. The people who'd resisted the cookies, who had to use willpower to not eat them, performed worse on the difficult task. Their willpower was depleted. They had less mental energy. The well had run dry. This discovery shattered the myth. Willpower isn't infinite. It's a resource. And every time you use it, you're exhausting the same tank. So what happens when you try to use willpower on a diet, your job, your relationships, and your morning routine all at the same time? You burn out. This is why New Year's resolutions fail. This is why people quit the gym in February. They're trying to run every single area of their life on willpower fumes. Eventually, something has to give. Usually, it's the thing you care about most because that's the one that requires the most effort. But here's what's even more important. Willpower isn't stable. It fluctuates. When you're hungry, you have less. When you're tired, you have less. When you're emotionally overwhelmed, you have less. When it's late at night, you have less. Your willpower isn't a character trait, it's a chemical state. It changes with your blood sugar, it changes with your sleep, it changes with your stress levels, it changes with the time of day. So why do we keep pretending it's something you either have or you don't? Because of the stories we tell ourselves. We love the narrative of the person who succeeded through raw willpower. It's motivational, it's romantic, it feels like something we can control, but it's a lie we tell ourselves to feel better about failure when it comes. We blame ourselves for not having enough discipline instead of asking the real question. Why did I set up a system that requires me to constantly use willpower? This is the insight that changes everything. The people who seem to have the most discipline aren't using the most willpower. They're using the least. They've structured their lives so willpower is barely needed at all. Think about how you eat. Most of what you eat isn't decided by willpower in the moment. It's decided by what's available in your environment. If you buy cookies, you'll eat cookies. If you don't buy cookies, you'll eat something else. No willpower required. The person who stays fit at home isn't white-knuckling through cravings. They simply don't have junk food readily accessible. The decision was made before the moment of temptation ever arrived. This is called decision architecture, and it's how successful people actually work. When Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck every day, he wasn't using willpower to wear the same outfit. He was eliminating a decision. When your successful friend wakes up at 5 a.m. every day, they're not white-knuckling through tiredness. They went to bed earlier. They created the conditions where waking up early requires no willpower. When someone sticks to their diet, it's usually not because they're resisting food. It's because they meal prepped on Sunday, so in the moment, there's only one option. The pattern is always the same. Remove the need to choose. Remove the temptation. Change the environment. then willpower becomes irrelevant. This is so different from what you've been taught that it might feel like you're losing something. You are. You're losing the romantic narrative of the hero who succeeds through sheer force of will, but you're gaining something far more valuable, a system that actually works without requiring you to be superhuman. Here's what happened to people who believed in willpower, according to research by Aaliyah Crum at Stanford. She took two groups and had both drink the same milkshake. She told one group it was a decadent, high-calorie dessert. She told the other group it was a low-calorie, healthy drink. Then she measured their hunger hormone levels. The group that thought they were drinking something indulgent had lower hunger hormones. They felt fuller longer, the exact same drink. The only difference was the story in their head about what they were drinking. So your belief about willpower actually affects your willpower. If you believe willpower is finite, it becomes finite. Your belief creates the ceiling. This is called a mindset effect, and it works both ways. If you stop believing willpower is the answer, you'll stop relying on it. And that's when things change. Because when you stop expecting willpower to work, you start asking better questions. Instead of asking, how can I force myself to do this? You ask, how can I make this the easy choice? Instead of, do I have enough discipline? You ask, is my environment set up right? Instead of trying to become someone with more willpower, you become someone who doesn't need as much willpower. This is what the research calls system design over self-control. And it works because it's aligned with how your brain actually functions. Your brain is lazy, not in a bad way, in a practical way. Your brain conserves energy. It looks for the path of least resistance. This is why you automatically grab your phone when you're bored, even though you know it wastes time. It's not because you lack willpower, it's because your brain finds the path of least resistance. That's design, not discipline. So the question becomes, can you use this against yourself or can you use it for yourself? Can you design an environment where the easy choice is the choice you actually want to make? Some examples. You want to exercise more? Don't rely on willpower to go to the gym. Put your gym clothes on your bed the night before. Join a class where you'll let down a friend if you don't show. Find a gym that's literally on your route home. These aren't big willpower moves, these are small environmental nudges. But they work because they don't fight your brain's laziness. They work with it. You want to eat healthier? Don't white-knuckle through cravings. Fill your fridge with healthy food that's visible and easy to grab. Put the junk food somewhere inconvenient. Buy pre-cut vegetables, pre-portioned snacks. You're not using willpower, you're using friction. You're making the bad choice require more effort than the good choice. You want to focus better? Don't tell yourself to just concentrate harder. Delete the apps that distract you. Put your phone in another room. Close the browser tabs you don't need. You're not building willpower, you're removing temptation. You're making distraction harder than focus. In every case, the pattern is change the environment before you need willpower. And when you do that, the need for willpower almost disappears. This is why willpower fails. It asks you to constantly fight your brain's natural inclinations. It asks you to be exceptional every single moment. It assumes that if you just try hard enough, you can overcome any obstacle. But that's not how humans work. We're creatures of environment and habit. We're designed to take the path of least resistance. The real question isn't whether you have enough willpower. The real question is, are you willing to design a system where you barely need it? Because here's the final truth. The people who seem to have the most discipline aren't disciplined at all. They've just done the hard work up front to make the disciplined choice the easy choice. They've structured their lives. They've changed their environment. They've built habits. And now, the life they want doesn't require willpower. It requires nothing. It just happens. So stop looking for more willpower. Stop trying to force yourself through will alone. That's fighting your nature. Instead, look at your environment. Look at your habits. Look at your friction points. Ask yourself, what's one small change that would make the choice I want to make the easiest choice available? That's not willpower, that's wisdom. And it's the only thing that actually lasts.